Well, hey there, happy innovators. How are you all doing today? Are you in the mood for another album description? I hope so, because today I've decided to talk to you a little bit about the PC1 Division album. And, the name PC1 is really just Pipe Choir 1. And the reason that I decided to release this album under the name PC1 was because I really did feel at the time that I had recorded this music that it was really very different from the typical pipe choir sound. Now, even though pipe choir has moments when it gets like heavy, it's got drums and singing and it's, high energy sometimes. The music that I made for the Division album was really kind of, at least in my opinion, much heavier and kind of like my take on the heavy metal genre, taking the approach to an entire album with that in mind, this idea of making a heavy metal album. And I wasn't sure at that time if I really wanted to change the sound of pipe choir so drastically, okay? But around the same time, I had also released another album called Wilderness by PC1, which was a folk album, acoustic songs, very simple, very stripped down, but yet again, very different from the typical pipe choir sound. So at the time, I thought that it might be a good idea to create this moniker PC1 as a place for me to put albums like the Division album and the Wilderness album and, leave the pipe choir sound exactly where it was. Now, what I also have to say, at the time I recorded the music for the Division album, it was actually an album of transition, like during a transition in my life where I had started the recordings in one location, and then about halfway through the album, I moved to another location. And that was a big deal because I was moving from, a small room, very crowded, in an apartment building. I had to kind of be methodical about when I recorded and, had to be considerate of the other people that were around me. Well, we moved from there to a freestanding house. And it was the first freestanding house of my own that I lived in. And this was a major change for me because it allowed me, for the first time, to record music whenever I wanted, as loud as I wanted to. And I can't overstate how much of a difference that made in the recording of this music. I also should say, I felt that at the time, I had conquered the drum recording process for pipe choir, that I had figured out how I wanted the drums for pipe choir to sound. And I decided to consciously shift my thinking and my energy to the guitar and playing the guitar. Because even though I had like a working knowledge of the guitar, like I could play a guitar, play songs, and I could, make interesting sounds with a guitar, I didn't really consider myself a guitar player, like in my bones, like in my blood. Drums were my first instrument and guitar was like my second or third instrument. So there was still a lot about the guitar that I didn't know. And I wanted to make an album where my focus was this idea of like finding like my sound on the guitar. And I have to say that all these years later, I still really haven't found it. It's still very much something that I am working on every day. So it was a big deal for me to be experimenting with the guitar, especially heavy guitar, Okay, because if you play guitar, which you may or may not, but if you do play guitar, you probably would agree that when you're playing electric guitar, through an amplifier, like heavy guitar, I wouldn't say that it's easy, but it's easier to get interesting sounds when you're, riding the lightning. So that's where I was when I decided to start recording the music for this record. I wanted the imagery on this compact disc to reflect the ideas and the sentiment and the feeling behind the music on the Division album. So taking a look at this CD artwork, I can kind of tell that it's, it looks like a guy who's making his second CD, which I was. And I felt that it was a good idea to, go with this kind of theme, this motif of metal, the music was heavy. I wanted the artwork to reflect that. So the CD artwork is done in this metal, and it has these basic shapes, like this Division symbol, stamped into the metal. And, I was proud of this artwork when I made it, and I still am. It looks pretty good, mission accomplished. So that's the front cover. When you open it up in the booklet, you'll see on the back side of the booklet, there's like a Division symbol made with the fleur de lis, the French saint symbol, one pointing up, one pointing down. I thought that was kind of an interesting idea and kind of like part of the theme of the album, I guess good and evil and all that kind of stuff, like saints going up and saints going down, I thought that was a clever idea. But that fleur de lis is actually from a book that my grandfather had written. It was like a history of my family, and it was a really interesting book. And I remember looking at this book when I was a really little kid, and I just thought that it was kind of a cool idea to bring some of that imagery from that book, this fleur de lis, like into the CD that I was making, And when you open up the booklet, you can kind of just see it's a lot of the same, like an echo of the front cover and everything. Very stark, simple metal with embossed, stamped symbols in the metal, and of course the track list and the liner notes. And I guess it's notable on this album that my wife is actually credited with some backing vocals that she did on the final track 11, Strobe, and we'll get into that in a couple minutes. But so that's the booklet. And then if you look at the compact disc, I thought that was funny. I used that fleur de lis again right in the middle of the compact disc, and I thought it was a funny idea that if you put this disc into a CD player and you press play, this fleur de lis spins around like a dial. And I don't know, at the time I thought it was interesting and funny. And if you take the CD out and you look behind, it's the fleur de lis again, stamped into the metal kind of thing. I like that idea. I thought it was suitable for the music on this album and the sentiment of this album. So here we go, the description of the PC1 Division album. Let's get into the music. The first song, track number 1, is Electricity. Electricity with 2 C's, so it's really kind of like Electric City. When I was first putting this song together, I remember I wanted to do something similar to a song by a group called Wasp. They have a song called Wild Child. I love that song. And I wanted to do something similar to that. I wanted to use it as a jumping off point for an idea. And I think that's what I was doing here. Contact is a wonderful thing. That's an old lyric, man. That's from like back in like 1994. I took the lyrics from a song I wrote back then and just shoved them in the beginning of this song. You know, I remember there was a lady I knew that inspired some of the lyrics for this song. She was like one of these people that thought she was like a religious or spiritual expert, and she was really into telling people what was right and what was wrong, and it really kind of chapped my ass sometimes. You know, I mean, I loved her and everything. She was great, but she just kind of pissed me off sometimes, and I think I'm kind of singing to her in this song. You know, if you want to save me, come on and save me. Whatever. You know, whatever. Good energy in this song. A lot of electricity. The framework of this song was written very quickly. Yeah. Is the writing on the wall born of terror? Is the silent protocol dipped in mirrors? I think that was kind of like a reference to 9/11 and the mood of 9/11, what was happening at that time, with the secret movements behind the scenes and that kind of stuff, because that was still very much in the air, you know, politically or whatever, socially. There were a lot of situations where citizens were turning on each other and people were getting in trouble because they said something like an opinion or something. They would get in trouble. If you want to play the song, just turn it on. I think that was me kind of speaking to this idea of inspiration, you know, where the songs come from. Like if you want me to do another song, if you want me to do a song, give me one, I'll do it. A lot of good energy in this song. A great way to start an album. I'm happy with that. Very happy with this recording. You know, a lot of the people that like my music or listen to my music like this song. It's one of their favorites. My brother Steve likes this song a lot. And probably because he's a Wasp fan too, and he loves that song too, so he probably hears a little bit of it in there. These lyrics. You know, I was working on this song for quite some time, and it was great because when you sit on a song long enough, you know, and you let it develop naturally, they kind of just write themselves, you know, and this is an example of that. This middle 8 section, which is actually more of like a middle 16 section. Good lyrics. Echoing off, you know. Tension building. Drums come in, you know, it starts to pick up again. Tension building. Wind is rising, you know. Tension, tension, tension. And then it breaks right here. Boom. Wide open. Bing, bing, bong. Those harmonics. Oh, yeah. A lot of guitar stuff happening right here. If you listen closely, there is a lot of guitar being played right now. I was in the search for the holy grail of guitar sounds and perfect distortion. I'm not sure whether I got there or not, because I'm still very much, you know, trying to do that now even. Still on the search. Awesome. Love it. A lot of special effects stuffed on with the guitar. So that was Electricity. This next song is track number 2, Radio Rocket. Again, I mean, let's just listen to the guitars. Just screwing around. Listen to that guitar. This is all guitar stuff for the most part. Just making up sounds and, anything I can make the guitar do. And this is probably like a composite of them, like all stacked on top of each other. There's different sounds that I can make with a guitar. Robot voice, the vocoder. Love that thing. Very rhythmic, very mechanical sounding. I like that idea of it sounding like a machine, an artificial band, a robot band. Robots, Is there anything cooler than a robot? These are so damn cool. And, it's kind of cool because I remember when I was writing this song, I thought it was a cool idea. I was like singing about the technology of the time and how it was changing the field for, guys like me, like struggling musicians, this idea of the internet and MP3s and all that kind of stuff. Like, at the time, it seems like no one else was really talking about that in a song. And like to this day, I'm not sure anyone has covered that territory. So I thought it was a pretty forward-thinking idea, to talk about that kind of stuff, the technology of the time. Yeah, like a podcast, digital groove. Yeah, 0110, like talking in computer code. Thought that was kind of cool. Good idea. Yeah. Good riff, good rhythmic guitar playing. Oh yeah, I used a speak and spell to do that. MP3, Brave New World, the world is brave. A little bit of sarcasm, about it. Like that fear, that Orwellian, like, fear of technology, kind of a hint of that too, the good and the bad. I like the idea of having the music sounding mechanical, synthetic, unnatural, very, very heavy. Simple, though. Rhythmic, heavy, and simple. Radio Rocket. The vocoder, I use it so much. I was really happy with my vocals on this song. Right here. Good line. The time is now and the time is right. A rocket taking flight. Robot voices all over the place. High energy, simple, heavy, tight. Listen to that. Wow, great sounds. Not bad. I was really kind of hitting my stride with the music production thing at that time, I think. So that was Radio Rocket. The next song is Division, the title track. And if you listen really close at the beginning here, that was my brother Steve, a recording of him on a cassette tape on our way to a King Diamond concert, like back in like 1987 or something. And he had recorded his voice, and I have the tape, and that's what that is at the very beginning. But this song is special, not only because it's the title track of the album, but this song was the first recording I did in the freestanding house that I moved into. And if you listen closely to my voice here, I'm singing at the top. I mean, the top of my range. I'm like screaming my head off, blowing my voice out because I could. You know, for the first time ever, I was able to sing as loud as I wanted, whenever I wanted, and I didn't have to worry about, somebody hearing me or being embarrassed or crashing and burning with my voice, making mistakes and working it out. Like, I was able to enjoy complete autonomy during the recording process, and you can hear me, celebrating that with just how loud I'm singing. I was screaming my head off, and I was loving every minute of it. Listen to those guitar sounds. Again, exploring the guitar. I was really focused on that for these songs. Nature. In seasons we decide. Anger. You know I'm right. I was pretty pissed off and pretty ready to pull the cork off and just let it rip, and I did. You can hear it in my voice. I am screaming my head off. This one time my wife was listening to this song on her computer, and she had her door closed, so it was through the wall I could hear this music, and I could only hear certain frequencies of it, so I couldn't tell what it was, and I opened up her door to see what it was, and she was listening to this. She was listening to me, and I was like, that's pretty damn cool. It sounded good, Very creative edits and production here. I was proud of this production. A lot of stuff going on. But more happy that I was able to scream my head off. That's great. There was a group called Palehead that featured Ian Mackay of Minor Threat and Al Jorgensen of Ministry. And they released an album called Trait. And they had a song on that album called Don't Stand in Line. And that's where I got that line from. I boosted it from Palehead. Man, I had no idea what the future held for that kind of sentiment. Wow. It's one of those things you got to kind of wonder. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to hear it now. What up? What is up? One thing is for sure is these songs have meaning. I can be proud of that. They're not arbitrary, stupid songs about the disco. This is pretty serious stuff. Let's see. So that was Division, the title track. This song, The Argument. Oh, geez. Another one of those kinds of ideas where the rage comes out pop that cork off and just let it rip. I was pissed, And it was so fun to just let it rip, Cathartic, Oh, listen to this. Very, very tough sounding. I can tell by the sound of this music that I was pissed. I can hear it. Yeah, tough music. Let's listen to this lyric in the beginning here. I'm a prodigal son, a 0 and a 1. Crazy. I remember when I was putting the drums together for this song, I was shooting for a white zombie kind of sound, and I think I got it. I think I achieved that. Tough sounding drums, because Rob Zombie's great at that. The lyrics. insane? No way. The Crown of Roses way. Who's right, who's wrong? It's a never-ending song. Excellent. This guitar work here. Those notes, you know. I'm going the sliding on the strings like that. You know, I definitely get that from Kim Thahill from Soundgarden. He does that a lot. He's made an art out of that kind of thing, and I'm sure there are other guitar players that do similar things like that, but Kim Thahill has really kind of made it an art form, and I do it a lot in my songs. This idea of sliding around on the strings from chord to chord, note to note, you know, not lifting your fingers off the fretboard. And I do it all the time, and it's because of Kim Thahill from Soundgarden. He does a lot of stuff that I like on the guitar. Ooh, listen to this. Ooh, sounds almost like classical music, doesn't it? Like an orchestra could be playing it. I like the way that sounds. Emotional, but heavy, you know? Almost pretty, but heavy. Ooh, this note right here. I was holding it for as long as I could so that it would fade off like that. I mean, it was like, you know, turning different colors, holding the note, you know, as long as I could. I got it, though. I'm not a natural singer, you know, so my voice, you know, is like, it is what it is. I do the best I can, you know. I was really kind of hitting my stride with my voice, mostly because I was able to be as loud as I wanted to be. I didn't have to be inhibited about trying to work out vocal lines and stuff and having other people hear me. Like if I made a mistake, it was like I could do it in private and sound horrible in private, you know, until I got it right. And there was a lot of that for this album. It was the first time I was able to do that. To sing without being embarrassed or worried that someone might hear me. You know, making mistakes and working it out. And crashing and burning vocally, you know. So I was proud of that one. Track number 4, The Argument. Track number 5 is The Crick. K-R-I-K. Kind of like an allusion to my younger days. The crick by my house, you know, from my youth. And, you know, I remember I was watching The Sopranos, actually, the time I was working on this song. And somebody on the show had said, you know, something about remember when, you know, is the lowest form of conversation. And I had heard that expression before, but I decided that that was a good idea, you know, as a jumping off point for this song, these lyrics, this idea of remember when, you know, being the lowest form of conversation. And that's kind of what I'm going for here. I'm talking about maybe like a composite of different people, different women that I was with or I knew or whatever, and had been intimate with, and the regrets that are associated with that, especially as you get older, you know, being with the wrong women, the wrong people, being around the wrong people, you know. Like, what was I thinking? Yeah, lighting candles, locking doors, you know. Do you remember when we had this affair, when this happened? And, you know, do you remember when? A lot of work went into editing this music right here. Little pieces of sound all over the place. All these sounds, all these little beeps and buzzes and, you know, all these sounds are all made on the guitar. I was really kind of getting into that. Nice easy drum beat, like laid back. Do you remember when you would light my fuse and I would light yours too? Pretty good lyric. Interesting. Do you remember all the flowing streams of mind? Yeah, diamonds dancing behind our eyes. I stole that line from a group called Last Crack. They have an album called Burning Time, and on that album he sings somewhere about diamonds dancing behind our eyes. I thought that was an excellent image, and suitable for like what I was talking about, with this song. I didn't mind being like evocative of sexual things. Like I wanted to kind of talk about that too. I didn't want to be like a Christian rock band. I'm not into that. Like that's not how I am. Like if you're gonna try to be on the right path, you have to know why you don't want something, why you may not want something in your life. It's not enough to just only stick with what you agree with. You should be able to explore even things you don't like or things you don't want. It was the first time I sang about this kind of thing, and hearing it now, it was probably kind of like the precursor to the entire album, The Last Major Sin. Oh, listen to this right here. I'm messing the mix up. The entire mix is being right here. Sounds like it's skipping. Yeah. Listen to this right here. The ending one. All right. That was track number 5. The Crick. This is track number 6, The Moloko Lie. The Moloko Lie is probably, of all the songs I probably have more versions of this song than any other song I have. I was rewriting this and trying all kinds of things. A lot of thought went into these lyrics, saying what and when I said it and all that kind of thing. I was really pleased with the lyrics. It's really kind of like a metaphor, this idea of me and then the world, this woman who was the world to me, being consumed by somebody, and like how I was misled. So it's like a metaphor. Maybe. She was the world, she was to me. But when you're more than interested, you see what you want to see. There was a group called Electrofiction. They had an album called Burned, and it was a side project for Ian McCullough from Echo and the Bunnymen. Electrofiction, and love that album. And a friend of mine had given me the CD, and he told me that it was like the British response to grunge or Seattle, and he was absolutely right. It sounded exactly like that to me. I love the album, every song on it, and I think with this song, I was shooting for that kind of sound, like a bluesy kind of thing, I was happy with that. I think the production could be a little bit better, but I was going for it. I was trying, and I think I did okay. The lyrics are good. Yeah, this is Electrification, totally, right here. I love that band and I love that album. So it was a lot of fun to kind of try to do something like that. You know, this song was used by somebody who did like a dance video to this song. And it was pretty awesome. I was so shocked to watch that, you know, professional dancers dancing to this music. They chose this, you know. That name, the Malako Lai, is actually kind of like a strange coincidence, you know, where I mashed these two words together that were symbolic of these people that I knew, these two different groups of people. I mashed these words together, Mole, Echo, and I didn't realize that there's like a demon god called Moloch, and people worship this demon god, and I had no idea that that was the case. I thought I was being clever with mashing these two words together. It was purely a coincidence. One of those things I couldn't believe it. Realized it. There's some things you can talk about and some you cannot say. Gentlemen don't say certain things, right? A lot of work went into this one. A lot of guitar, you know, like I said, I was really on the quest, you know. This guitar thing, like conquering it, you know. Still haven't. Listen to that guitar. All guitar sounds. Wobbling back and forth, you know. Back and forth, left, right, right to left, get it, you know. Left path, right path, right? The Malako Lai, I was glad when I was done with it. Finally, it's done. So that was track number 6, the Malako Lai. This next one is track number 7, the dotted line. Listen to the sound in the very beginning. Listen to this. One of those sounds, I bumped my guitar, it made that sound, I liked it, I looped it, put it in the song. I started recording this song in one place, one environment. I powered down, I put it in the car, I drove it to another location, I powered it up, and finished the song in my new place to live, my new freestanding house. So this was it. This was the song that marks the transition. Started in one place and I finished it in another. Dotted line. This one is really kind of like saying to my wife, I'm signing on the dotted line with you, like we're gonna get married now. Take it seriously. I'm taking it seriously. That's an acknowledgement of that, I guess, of our marriage and like what it means to me. I hear your distress call, a beacon for you. Like when you are sad or down or whatever, I will be there to pick you up. I will lift you up. My love is your love and your love is mine. Listen to this right here. Making the guitars like wail. Groaning. There's a big one coming up right here. Ready? Here we go. I was just like having so much fun. Ooh, listen to this. Jane's Addiction. You know, I hear a lot of Jane's Addiction in this song. I love Perry Farrell's voice. I'm a huge fan of him and Jane's Addiction. Everything they've done. Especially their later stuff. I need the sun. I need someone. Drama. I need a wife. Signed on the dotted line. My love is your love is mine. I deserve so much less than what I got. Truly. There's harmony there. Love is your love. You know, I detuned the top string on my guitar down to C for this song. And it's actually the same chord structure as Love is the Happiest Way, oddly enough. But it's just tuned differently. I was proud of this song. I was. Still am. Just that guitar, it sounds so muddy to me. That top string being tuned down that low, I think it doesn't sound as good as it could. I think that's why I wanted to redo it, and I tried for the Last Major Sin album, and it didn't work out. Now I think I know why. So that was track number 7, The Dotted Line. Yeah, a little dink. These weird guitar sounds, you know, just like little tiny little bumps of the string or little pieces of feedback, or I leave them in, I keep them, I loop them, I put them in. Pretty cool. The Dotted Line. The next song is track number 8, Return to Zero. This song was inspired by a group called the Young Gods. They have a song called Kissing the Sun where they start out with this really kind of trippy, intense keyboard thing, and they jump into this heavy thing, and then they jump back into the keyboard thing, and they go back into the heavy thing, and it's like this back and forth, jumping in dynamics, you know, and I think that's what I was shooting for with this song. This song wasn't like rocket science either, you know. It's one of those things that came out probably a little bit better than I thought it did at the time I did it. Yeah, double bass drumming. The first song I did for pipe choir with double bass drumming in it. Very different from pipe choir, you know? Oh, and these vocals here. Listen. Shadows from the candles fall. Shadows dancing on the wall. I did 2 versions of this song, okay? I sang this song twice in different keys, and I accidentally left the old vocal in on this version. So you're hearing me sing the song twice, but in different keys, and when you play them together, they sound like warped like that. That was a complete accident, a happy accident. That's what that is. I'm singing in 2 totally different keys being played simultaneously at the exact same time. I did not plan that, and I left it in. That's how I get that weird pitch thing happening with my voice on the verses. And I discovered it when I was working on this, and I left it in. It sounded so crazy to me, you know? And it still does. Listen, it's coming up right here. Listen to this. Isn't that weird? 2 totally separate keys that I'm singing in, but playing those vocals at the same time. It's pretty weird, man. Pretty weird. You know, my wife is so funny. She makes fun of this song all the time. She'll come into my studio, doing the robot dance and Return to Zero. She's so funny. I can't listen to this song without thinking of her taking the piss right out of it, you know? It's so funny. All you can do is laugh, you know? When you're working on something so hard and taking it so seriously, and the person you love more than anyone else is just coming in the room and just taking the piss right out of it. Return to Zero. Straight skank beat. Oh, I love those robot voices. Can never get enough of that. That was track number 8, Return to Zero. And the next one is track number 9, Sing to the World. This is okay, I want to do a song like the Ramones. Bam. That's what this is. I wanted to do something that was like The Ramones. Here we go, robot voice. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Punk rock drum beat. But it was kind of cool because I was singing about, you know, the famous people of history that, you know, said or did things that are still, like, that said or did things that changed the world, but are still changing everything even today. So Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, you know, all these figures from history. You know, they were singing to the world. Like Martin Luther King was singing to the world this new message, and that's what this is, like a celebration of that. The fall of Adam, the fall of Eve. Okay, that's where it starts, you know, mankind or whatever. Sing to the world. But this is me trying to do the Ramones. Yeah, listen to that. 16th notes on the hi-hat. It's so hard to do this drum beat, especially for like, you know, 5 minutes without making any errors or any mistakes. It's so difficult to do. You know, like your arms are ready to fall off by the time the song is over. And those punk rock drummers don't get enough credit for that. And how hard it is to do this and to do it without making any mistakes, you know? To do it tight. This song came together very quickly, if I remember it correctly. Fun, basic, just rock. But it was a conscious attempt at doing something like the Ramones. I love that band and what they stand for, what they represent, at least as far as I'm concerned, what they represent. And it was a lot of fun to give it a shot. You know? I remember somebody said when I first released this song on the internet, one of the comments I got was, "This band pipe choir can do any style of music." And I thought that was pretty cool, you know. Sometimes people say things like that and it sticks in your mind, you know. I thought that was cool. Still do. And still though the song you sing, it's a line from Walt Whitman, famous poet, one of my favorites. It's echoing through history. The things that those people, the change that they kind of started is still making the world change. You know, it's still echoing through history. Interesting thoughts. Good job. Yeah, so that was track number 9, Sing to the World. This next one coming up is track number 10, Microvolt. Yikes. You know, I'm not even sure that this song should be on this album. Honestly. I debated it while I was putting this album together, like whether to omit this song from the track list or not, because to me it just seemed like it was not really up to snuff, like with the rest of the music on the record. But when I released this song to the public, before it was on this record, the crowd response that this song got was much, much better than I thought it would be. And for that reason, you know, in the end, I decided to include it on this record. But I was, at the time, really dissatisfied with the production of this idea because it was really like an experiment. And, you know, the idea was to have that vocoder robot voice doing the lead vocal on this song. Kind of like a Daft Punk idea. And I just think that it came out, like the vocals and the words that I'm saying are very clever and creative in this robot voice, but it's just not loud enough, you know? But for some reason, people love this song. And if you listen really closely to this music, It's actually the same drum beat from The Argument. It was like a recycled drum beat idea. Like I said, meant to be just an experiment, but it wound up working out as something that people actually liked. Cool guitar lines. Hammer-ons, Diddle-a-ding, 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 diddle-a-ding. There's a part at the end of the song where, right before the middle eight section, where the music skips, it stutters. And it was so funny because you could see the wave files, because wave files now, the music we're listening to right now can be looked at visually in wave files. And in the session for this song, when I was, breaking this song down, you'll see what I mean. Those stops, kind of like Daft Punk, I guess. It was so cool to see the wave files, So much work, very tedious work, but listen to this. What I'm talking about. Stop. Listen to that. Isn't that crazy? You should see what that looks like visually. Those waves, the music in a computer. It's so funny. So much time went into that. Tedious, I do a really long one at the end. I'm saying some pretty crazy stuff in these lyrics and you just can't hear it. But, maybe it makes people want to dance or something, I don't know. Sometimes it's really about the music, right? It's not so much about the words, maybe. Hammer-ons again. Cool riffs. I'm proud of the guitars on this song. On this whole album, really. I think I did good. I was pushing myself. I'm really having a lot of fun coming up with ideas like this. That long stop thing that I was talking about earlier, here it's coming up right here. Ready? Listen to this. And it goes for longer than you'd want it to, It's excruciating. Just keep going. Ah, yeah, cool. Like a machine, malfunctioning or something. I love it. Love it. That was track number 10, Microvolt. This is track number 11, Strobe. And oh my gosh, Strobe. With this song, it's really special. I had decided that I wanted to sit down and make a song that was going to be really long, 15 minutes or so, but it was going to change a lot, And I decided that I would try to make this the best effort I had ever made with any music I had done. I was going to do whatever I had to do. I was going to throw every bit of brain power I had at this song idea. If something wasn't perfect, I would not live with it in this mix. Everything was going to be perfect. If I needed to redo the snare drums, I wasn't satisfied with them, I would start from the beginning and do the whole thing. Everything in this mix was the best that I could do. And it took me a really, really long time to make this recording. Got a little bit of that Pink Floyd vibe. And I remember with the bass guitar, the down, 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 down. I forget which Pink Floyd song it is, but something like that. That was a conscious thing, I remember. taking some Pink Floyd. Of course, the robot voice again. Oh, the countdown kind of idea, you know? Now, what's cool about this, too, is I remember specifically that I wanted to do an idea that had two separate rhythms happening at the same time. And depending on which one you were like listening to or hearing or latching onto, the music would take on a completely different rhythm. So you have this idea of like a gallop, okay? Da 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 da, right? But then you also have this rhythm. It's going da 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 da. Hear it? Right? And then depending on which one you hear or which one you are listening to, the music fits, but it's just different. You know? I was proud of that. It was a clever idea, I thought. I'm not sure I had ever heard that done before. Listen to that. Still proud of it. Still proud of this. I worked so hard. This part here makes me think of that band Kraftwerk. You know, they have a song called We Are the Robots. An album called The Man Machine, I think it was called. I had just bought that CD when I was working on this. And, you know, Microvolt, the song that came before this, was really kind of the run-up to this song. And it kind of got me ready, you know, into this idea of very tedious, detailed editing, you know, and that's what we're hearing here. It's so much, you know, thought and care, delicately editing. Everything is perfect, making things sound as good as I possibly could. Oh yeah, it's my wife's voice. It might be the first time I used her voice in a song. Yeah. I forget that it's her sometimes. But it is. She's so funny. She just like, you know, my wife is so cool about this kind of stuff. You know, I'll bring her into the studio, I'll sit her down in a chair, I'll say this, do this, say this, and she just does. She doesn't complain, you know, she'll just do the best she can, and she's a good sport, you know. She can take a joke, she can laugh at herself, you know, she's funny. My wife is very funny. She laughs a lot, and she makes me laugh a lot. And it's probably one of the reasons why I love her as much as I do, and why we get along so well, is because we're usually laughing, even if we're crying. You know, it's like we have that kind of relationship. You know, the idea for this song, the lyrics of this song, came from this one time I was in a nightclub waiting for somebody that was going to meet me there. And I'm sitting at this table watching all these people on the dance floor dancing to this like techno music, you know. It was like techno night at this club, and I'm waiting for somebody. So I'm looking out on the dance floor, and I see this one girl. She's in the crowd of people underneath like this pin spotlight by herself, and she was dancing to the music. Like, it was so awesome to watch. Like, she was just so different than everybody else that was dancing. And the way she was dancing, it was like she was in ecstasy, you know? She probably was on ecstasy, but it was still like so cool to watch. I was like mesmerized by it. So much so that I decided to make a 15-minute epic jam, you know, just based on that visual, that idea. You know, because like as a drummer, there's like this connection, at least in my opinion, there's always like been this connection between drummers and dancers, you know, because like when you're a drummer, in some strange way, you're kind of like always dancing to the music, you know? Sample of my brother Steve doing an interview on the radio about that painting he did. Threw it in there. I had a sample of it. I threw it in there. So much stuff going on. This was all done on 16 tracks. Actually less than 16, probably about 14 tracks dedicated to the music. Kind of impressive. I can't believe I did it. I can't believe I was able to do it, but I did. Here's the proof. So much work, so much time, and I was having the time of my life doing it. It was really challenging, you know, mentally to make this happen the way you're hearing it, you know. Sections of, you know, just thought and editing and just so many sections of it, you know. And that robot voice, yeah, interesting. Some kind of weird art trip, you know. Dancing towards salvation. Awesome. It's crazy, man. Listen to that. Not a whole lot of heavy guitars in this, at least not until the end. Sounds more like pipe choir. She sounds great, doesn't she? It's cool, cool. Good job. Listen to this. So psychedelic and ambient and kind of like trippy. But that rhythm is going and you can still hear it. Right? Or right? Both going simultaneously. Fantastic. Hovering, invisible, like poetry. Salvation. Awesome. Listen to this part. This is as quiet as the song gets. Listen to this. So much sound, though, happening right now. Listen. So much work, so much thought, effort. Boom, ba boom, ba boom. How strange, you know? I'm proud of this one. A lot of good stuff in here. I considered this at the time to be my masterpiece. It very well may be my masterpiece, even though it was made a long time ago. A lot of really cool stuff. Changes very quickly too. So mellow. Okay, the drums come back a little bit. Starting to pick up a little bit, you know, starting to rise a little. And the drums come back in. Dancing towards right here, the drums. Tribal drums. It's kind of like lighting the fuse on the bomb, you know, because because this song is about to explode. Good guitar. Still soft though, right? But here we go. Ready? This song's gonna explode. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. Oh, I'm screaming as loud as I can. Get up. Hallelujah. Listen to that. It's crazy, isn't it? It was so fun to, be recording this and listening to the playback, every day, work on it some more and press play. Listen to that drum beat. Good level of like intensity, very intense. Good vocals. Oh yeah. Dancing towards salvation. Pretty cool. Good drums. Salvation. Oh yeah, those drum fills. Right here. Boom, 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 boom. Against the rhythm. Boom, 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 boom. It's like slowing down, hitting the brakes. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. And it goes boom. Oh, so much time and effort. I worked so hard on this, So much work, so much tedious, detail, attention to detail. So glad I did it. So worth it. Oh, listen to this ending. It's great. And even this section right here, there's so much going on. Listen. 14 tracks of music. That's all I had. 14. Not bad. Not bad.
Dancing towards salvation.
There it is. Alrighty then. There it was. That's the Division album by PC1. My happy innovators. I hope that you got something out of this album description. I hope that you enjoyed it. And, I have thought about this album quite a bit. And the idea that if I ever did re-release this album in the future, that I might actually go right ahead and call it Pipe Choir Division. But I don't know. We'll see what the future holds. And anyway, so that's it for today, my happy innovators. This is Mike Bostwick from Pipe Choir Records signing off. And remember, folks, if you want to keep what you've got to give it away. Take it easy, y'all. Well, hey there, all you happy innovators that were kind enough and generous enough with your time to wait to the end of the podcast for some music. And I got something for you that I think you might like today. It's going to be a track that was originally meant to be included on the PC1 Division album. It's a song called Trem Tram. And I decided, at the last minute before releasing this album to omit this track from the album because I really wanted to save it for the future, do a redo of this song. I thought that the production on this was fairly good, but I thought that I could do it better, and I wanted to save it for the future. But today, right here, right now, I decided to share it with you, as it was supposed to be part of this album, the PC1 Division album. So I hope that you enjoy it. Check it out. It's a song called Trem Tram, TREM-TRAM. And this was recorded around the same time as all the other songs on the PC1 Division album. But like I said, decided to omit it. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. Let's check it out. Trem Tram by PC1 or Pipe Choir. Check it out.
If to fall